Hey all, Patrick Murphy from IC Reptiles here. And today I wanted to go over the 6 different types of substrate that I've been using and working with, and just kind of go over the pros and cons that I found about each of these. I'm going to start with the most basic here. So the most basic substrate, and I just put samples in these bins. This is not what I keep my, I don't use this substrate this way for the actual animals. So first is no substrate. So some people choose not to use any type of substrate. So you put them in a, you put the animal in a enclosure, whether that be a tank, aquarium, bins, tubs, whatever you want to call them. But some people choose not to put anything in here for their animals. So that's one option. And I'm not evaluating whether these are good or bad options. I'm just going over kind of what the basics are. The next option is using paper towels. Now this is what I use for my babies. So as you can see here, I have my babies in there. They have paper towel in there, and I choose to use that. It's easier to clean up. I'm cleaning them daily. You just wipe it up, clean it up, throw them out. Makes it very easy to work with. Now the other type of substrates here, break them into 2 categories. You have your coconut fiber, forest floor, some barks type material. Now this is the material that comes in a cube. You soak it in water, you let it expand, and then you have to dry it out. This holds humidity very well. I bought it as a substrate for mine. But one of the problems I have with it, as you can see here, I just took a handful of each of these and put them in. You can see on the bottom here, it's pretty dusty. Even after going through that process, even after draining it out. And it literally took me about 2 or 3 weeks to get this dried out. I've got a big tub like that I had 2 of those tubs full of this stuff after it was wet. I dried it out. I kept turning it over. It just took forever. I do use this, since it holds humidity, I use this and put it in their shed boxes. But it can get dusty. My animals tend to go to the bathroom in their shed boxes as well. So, you know, I just toss it out and re-wet it. I don't keep it dripping wet, but I keep it moist for their shed boxes. And then depending on which enclosure they're in or what shed boxes I use, I'll use a variety of depth for this and wetness for that. Next what I've got here are, let's do it this way, 3 different Aspen products. So we have the big Aspen chips, we have the shredded bedding, and then this is the Aspen chips. So these are like little tiny squares of Aspen. And you can see here it compacts pretty well together, but it's pretty loose, it's pretty fine. I have a few snakes that love to burrow in this, and it works really well. This stuff, it's larger. It's much smaller than the big chips. It tends to settle and become kind of firm, not as loose and open as this is. But I'm turning more towards this for the adults. And one of the reasons is I don't like this. Now you can buy these in big bags. So there's one bag. That bag right there was for this stuff. It's about $15 to $20 a bag. And then you have the Aspen bedding, which is this stuff, which is again much smaller bag. I can probably about 3 of those to 1 big bag of the Aspen Chip for the same price. And then you have this, which I get in big bags like the Aspen Chips as well. Same price, $15, $20, somewhere in there. The problem with this stuff is I can't breathe around it. So when I use these in their enclosures, I find myself having a difficulty breathing just from the dust. This is very dusty. And as you can see here, again, I just grabbed a handful, but you can see kind of the smaller bits that get in here. And that's all like a dust. And it gets over everything. It's got a stronger smell to it, which may help keep the odors down on your animals if you don't clean them on a regular basis. But for myself, I found I don't like this stuff. Like I said, it's hard for me to breathe around. Unfortunately, I've got a huge black tub of this stuff, but once that's gone, it's gone. I won't use it again. I will use one of these two myself. Now, I don't feed. So I haven't done an introduction to our channel yet, but there's lots of controversial topics out there in how you keep your animals, what type of stuff you keep them in, and do you feed in their enclosure, not in their enclosure, heat, temperature, humidity, lighting, all those things are very controversial. On this show, I'm going to show you what we do. And we chose this way because it's the best for us and what we found for our animals. Other people may disagree and do their own thing. I do not feed in their tubs with substrate. So I know there's a concern because this, if you put a wet mouse in here or a live animal, it will stick and the snake will ingest it. Some people say that's fine. Other people believe it causes impactions. That's not a problem for me because I use paper towels in my tubs. But also I'm not feeding them in this. Much easier in this stuff, right? Less of it's going to stick to the prey. The snake's mouth will probably knock most of it off before it goes in there. And I haven't tried this yet to see how this would react to that. Now there's things you can do. My adults are in brumation right now, but they've got a big plastic hide in their enclosures. I would flip them upside down, throw the mouse in there, and then they would eat it. So the mouse really never even comes in contact with the substrate. So anything that's ooey gooey coming out of that mouse isn't getting on the substrate that you don't see when you spot clean and throw out. So it just stays much cleaner not throwing their food in the substrate in the first place to me. Some people think it stresses out their animals too much. None of mine have complained. They all do very well. I handle them after eating, no issues, put them back in their enclosures if I take them out. Some of them are problem feeders, some of them like the dark. So it really just depends on matter. But these are the 6 different kind of substrate options that we have. And as you can see in here, most of my enclosures here, and I'll do in-depth videos of each of these animals in the future. Here's a gray-banded king snake. She's turning a little bit blue there. I didn't clean them today. So use paper towel. It's just much easier to do that way. Here are my juveniles. My 2 juveniles. So using the Aspen bedding in here. He's in his paper towel tube right now. It holds the when they go to the bathroom, it's easy. It clumps together. You just pick it up with a paper towel and throw it out. Now Merida here, let's see where she's at. She's either in the back. Nope, she's in her hide. So I just changed her out because on her, she was set up like flash, and on her paper towel roll, I kept seeing just one little bug walking around. And I don't have a microscopic camera to see if it's a mite or if it's a spider or if it's what, but there's only one. But just to be safe, I put a larger bowl in here. You can see humidity is not a problem. So if she wanted to soak, if there was a problem, she would be able to do that. I haven't caught her in there yet, but I also replaced it with paper towel just so I can see if there's any bugs or anything she's got. I've looked her over with a magnifying glass. I can't see anything. I'm a little paranoid about mites just because I've had snakes in the past that I've purchased with them, and they were a pain to get rid of. So for now, to keep it simple, for my babies, they're in 6-quart tubs with paper towel. My juveniles, it depends on their situation. I'll change it up. When this is done, I'll throw some substrate back in there, and it won't be a problem. Now, unlike boas, I've had boas before. They go to the bathroom. They poop once of feeding, so once every 2 weeks, sometimes once a month. These guys are like every day. Both the gray banded and the corn snakes are pretty much every day. So it just makes it easier to do this and clean them up. So that's it. That's pretty much my first video. I wanted to go over just kind of different substrates, different options, the dust, what my personal preference is from what I've had to deal with as far as dust. They're all cost about the same to me. The Aspen bedding is a little bit more because you get smaller amount for that price. I really do like this stuff for them to burrow in and climb in. For mating, when you're pairing them up, this can get stuck in both the male and the female. So some people choose not to use this type of small stuff for that. I'm not sure if we're going to try breeding or not. We're not breeders. We don't intend to be breeders, but it would be nice to take the kids through that, show them the process, and go through all that. And it's free snakes, right, that I don't have to buy. And then this stuff, like I said, I have problems breathing around it, so I'm done with that. Once we have and use up what we have, we're done. So pretty much I think I'll be sticking with this for most of it. I can try combining some of these together just to mix them up and see if that works. I did that initially with this just to control humidity with that, but then give them some bedding as a temporary enclosure. I was using something like this. But even in my larger tank here, I removed all the substrate out of there just because it was getting to be a pain to clean, and it's hard with that tank. Is heavy to dump it out, empty it out, and do everything. So I use it for temporary way I'm cleaning them or something else. I may throw them in there. For now, it's got a thermostat, it's got a mat, it's got all that. I just don't have any of it turned on. So comes down mainly into personal preference. My personal preference is, once again, babies on paper towels, juveniles in some type of substrate, and then the adults when they go back into their V70s here, I will most likely use the larger chips just to get rid of it. Use this stuff just to get rid of it, and then switch back to some of this other stuff later. Thanks for watching. Till next time.